Hi and welcome to the RGL Forza Championships. We're here at Silverstone International Circuit for race 11 of the European GT3 series. So the final round, this will decide who will be the championship winner. And we currently have a very close battle on our hands. There's only 5 points separating the top two drivers, and that is Eskimo Sammy Joe and Rob360XPX, the reigning champion. So it'll be interesting to see how things pan out. Obviously Rob360XPX needs to finish ahead of Eskimo Sammy Joe wherever possible, and vice versa. So the next person in the championship is Zulu, but that's a close battle for third between him and Relentless as well, so it'll be interesting to watch that one as well. So with the qualifying, Relentless once again proving he's one of the fastest in the pack, coming in first. He posted a really good lap time. About midway through the qualifying session it couldn't be beaten. Eskimo Sammy Joe obviously off to a good start there in second, with Rob360XPX in third. Not too unhappy with that result given his good practice times. Blogsy360 leads the BMWs there in fourth, with Zulu fifth, and Ollie9394 ran off in sixth. And there was a really good battle there between the mini-me races. Zulu only managed to get in front of his teammate by 200ths of a second in the last minute. So we start the race, and as you can see, a big jump here from the Porsches, from the BMWs, but that advantage has sort of been whittled away a bit there as Eskimo Sammy Joe loses a bit of traction, and Relentless gets a bit of a gain here. Eskimo just ranging up on the back of Relentless, but Relentless probably a little bit steadier in his car control going through that section, but at the same time Eskimo Sammy Joe hasn't lost any time there. If anything, he's just picked back a bit of the gap. So into the hairpin, and something in the background there, Zulu tried to make a move on Blogsy there, but it hasn't quite paid off, and you can see the field's pretty close, which is good to see. So Relentless for Australian Performance Racing, he's once again probably mentioned this in the Mini Cooper series, that another one that sort of promised a lot, but the only reason why he hasn't really delivered is because he missed out on one of the rounds throughout the series, and he did have a pretty bad race at Mugello, where he had a bit of an incident there in the reverse grid format. So the reigning champion Rob360XPX coming around in third place at the moment. His biggest rival is Eskimo Sammy Joe, who's actually in front of him, so that's not what he wants. And Relentless posts the fastest lap so far. That's a standing lap, so it'll be a little bit higher than the fastest times you'd expect to see in the 118s, maybe a 117 if we're lucky. So at the moment it's Eskimo Sammy Joe doing what he needs to do, and that is stay in front of Rob360XPX. And it's actually interesting, the 20 points that was on offer for pole position, Rob360XPX was very happy to see that Eskimo Sammy Joe didn't secure it here. Eskimo Sammy Joe did lead qualifying for a little bit there until Relentless posted the fastest time, so a little bit of relief there. That would have really made it difficult for him to have a crack at the title. So we're on board now with Zulu in car, with Blogsy360 just in front of him. So the field's still pretty close. This is very good to see, very high quality racing, and Blogsy doing what he generally does, is pit early. It seems to prove to be a good method. I think it's either pit early or pit late. Anywhere in between can sometimes ruin your chances of gaining any positions. And Relentless now, there you go, a little bit closer to the mark with a 118.943 for the fastest lap so far. So he is the fastest man on the circuit. But yes, it's a pretty good showing also from Zulu, who's tended to fall away pretty quickly, along with his teammate Ollie9394 in the last few rounds of the European GT3 series. And I mentioned this in Mini Coopers. This will be the last series under the Mini-Me Racing banner. They'll be looking for new sponsors and hopefully improving their on-track performance going into what will be the V8 Supercars Season 2. and also the second series yet to be announced. So that'll be good to see, and I suppose looking forward to seeing what new liveries come up and what other changes there are in teams and structures for the 2012 series and seasons. So back on track here, Relentless really opened up a gap to Eskimo Sammy Joe, and Rob 360 XBX is still hanging on closely there to Eskimo Sammy Joe in third position. He's a very clean driver. Relentless is very exact in his racing lines and that. You know, he has been known to make a mistake here and there, but you'd be struggling to find any driver that hasn't made a mistake or two in this series. It's got really good car control, and I suppose sometimes when you watch him race, it doesn't seem like he's going that fast, sort of really smooth, that in actual fact it's generally when he's actually posting some of the best times. So we're on lap 4 of 6, and they're yet to pit the top 3 cars, so we've got this lap to pit on, and then after that I have to pit on that next lap, lap 5. As mentioned in the Mini Cooper series, so here we go, Relentless has made the first move, and Eskimo Sammy Joe and Rob 360 XBX are staying out, so this is going to be crunch time for the drivers as to who might get in front of who, maybe with an undercut manoeuvre. Yeah, and as mentioned in the Mini Cooper series, the stewards have waived the traditional pit window and just directed drivers to have a mandatory pit stop, provided it's not where you finish the race in pit lane, and provided you've actually completed 1 lap. So the earliest you can pit is lap 2, but then you've got any other lap up until the second last one to pit. So that's made it a little bit easier for the drivers. They're not having to worry about whether or not they're within the pit window, which we've seen in the past throughout this series where drivers have had trouble with that. And Eskimo Sammy Joe really pushing hard here. He's got to make sure he can hopefully jump Relentless. Given the gap though, it'd be pretty miraculous in and out lap, and if he can, you know, that's a bunch of points that'll go towards him that'll really take the pressure off going into the last race. So the 2 championship contenders are in the pit lane. So you know, speaking of Rob's position at the moment, he's currently going to lose about 9 points to Eskimo Sammy Joe, which will make the gap 14, so it'll make it a little bit more tricky going into the last race. And you see Relentless here coming onto the main straight, and this is going to be very close actually. Just crossing the start line now, Relentless, and he'll start heading around the bend. You'll see him appear in the background here. There he is. So you know, it's close, but we have a look in the background here as well. If you can see, there's Bogsy 360, and it looks like he might have even passed Rob. So this is big stuff. This is going to make a big difference to the points if things end like this. We are on the last lap, so all of a sudden what was 15 points is 14 points I should say, is jumping out to 23. So that would mean that Rob 360 would need to win the race, and for Eskimo to have to come at least 4th or 5th, I believe, to give him a shot at winning. So Relentless, he's just out on a flying lap here. He's already ahead on the sector splits, so he's looking very close to posting the fastest lap of the race on this final lap. And Eskimo Sammy Joe's done everything he needed to do at the moment. He's come in second, and he's been helped a lot by his teammate in Blogsy 360, who's managed to snatch third. And it's a very close race in the background there. So Relentless finishing race 11 with a win. There's one more race to go. Eskimo Sammy Joe in second, and there you go, Relentless with fastest lap of 1:18.457. Rob 360 XBX finishing in fourth, Zulu in fifth, and Ollie finishing in his true style in 6th position. Thank you for watching. We'll see you at race 12.